Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari Gopi Janavalava Girivaradha Jaya Gopi Janavalava Girivaradha Jaya Gopi Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hare Bo Hare Bo Nitai Omagyantumanandasya janandjana salakaya chaksurvamilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'm reading from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text number 1. The Blessed Lord said, there is a banyan tree which has its roots upwards and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. It's too high. I wanted it down, not higher. Hare Krishna, that's better. And then Srila Prabhupada's purport. There is no experience in this world of a tree situated with its branches down and its roots upwards. But there is such a thing. That tree can be found beside a reservoir of water. This tree, being the reflection of the real tree, is an exact replica. Everything is there in the spiritual world. We can see that the tree on the bank reflect upon the water with their branches down and their roots up. In other words, the tree of this material world is only a reflection of the real tree in the spiritual world. This reflection of the spiritual world is situated on desire, just as the tree's reflection is situated on the water. Desire is the cause of things. Being situated in this reflected material light, one who wants to get out of the material existence must know this tree thoroughly through analytical study, then he can cut off his relationship with it. The entanglement of this material world is compared here to a banyan tree. For one who is engaged in fruitive activities, there is no end to the banyan tree. He wanders from one branch to another, to another, to another. The tree of this material world has no end, and for one who is attached to this tree, there is no possibility of liberation. The root of this material existence grows upwards. This means that it begins from the total material substance, from the topmost planet of the universe. From there, the whole universe is expanded with so many branches representing the various planetary systems. The fruits represent the results of the living entity's activities, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. The Vedic hymns are meant for elevating oneself, are called the leaves of this tree. This tree's roots grow upwards because they begin from where Brahma is located, the topmost planet of the universe. If one can understand this indestructible tree of illusion, then one can get out of it. The process of extrication should be understood. In the previous chapter has been explained that there are many processes by which to get out of the material entanglement. We have seen that devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the best way. Now, the basic principle of devotional service is detachment from material activity and attachment to the transcendental loving service of the Lord. A clear reality of the two different worlds, the difference between the material world and the spiritual world. The material world is the real tree laden with fruits of love of God. And this material world is a reflection of that life in the spiritual world. We're trying to imitate the life of the spiritual world. But real society, friendship, and love can only be had in the spiritual world. Here we're trying so hard to make a similar blueprint, but it is not possible. The more we try, the more frustrated we become. Therefore, this world, we're rotating through two different aspects of life. One is hankering, and the other is lamenting. We hanker for what we don't have, and when we get what we don't have, we lament because it doesn't give us exactly what we expected. So this is a constant hankering, lamentation, hankering, lamentation, hankering, lamentation, hankering, lamentation, hankering, lamentation, more hankering, more hankering, more lamentation, more lamentation. This is the upside down tree, the reflection of the spiritual world, the real tree. So Krishna Consciousness is a means by which we can distinguish these two trees through analytical study, We can distinguish reality from illusion. We can distinguish right from wrong. We can distinguish mundane rasa to bhakti rasa. We can distinguish happiness to bliss. So this is the analytical study which we are engaged in through the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, and many other Vedic literatures. It is very important that we understand the illusions of this world and the difference between the material world and the spiritual world. So we're going to read out some of the differences. First, I want to narrate one song which was written by one of my godbrothers. It's called "It's Only an Illusion." It's only an illusion that keeps me running away from you. It's only an illusion that keeps me doing all the foolish things that I do. Like a foolish deer in the forest who is chasing after water that is simply not there. I spend my life uselessly searching after a mirage, and it only ends in despair. Oh Lord, won't you help me understand all the things I need to know to be a part of your plan? You come to save the fallen. Well, I am a low-born man. Won't you please lend me the strength so I can make a stand? You are the source, beginning, middle, and end. You reside within my heart as a well-wishing friend. O Master of the world, it's just no use to pretend. I am praying for your mercy. Won't you help me transcend? Do you like that song? Pretty good. So we're going to make now a comparison between the material world and the spiritual world and see if there's any resemblances and how many differences there are. And it will help us to develop a clear understanding of the worth of this world. And distinguish the reality from the illusion. You can join in with these if you like. Would you like to do that? Well, all right. Go on. They're good. They're good to chant. So repeat. Material world. Temporary and miserable. Spiritual world. Permanent and blissful. Full. Material world. Contaminated. Spiritual world. Pure. Temporary jail. Permanent home. Birth, death, old age, and disease. Eternal youthful existence. Made up of material elements. Made up of pure spirit. Work to survive. Play for fun. Ownership. Home, money, car, etc. are mine. Ownership. Everything belongs to Krishna. Consciousness. I want to enjoy. Consciousness. I want to serve. Mentality. I am the master. Mentality. I am the servant of the servant. Selfish, lusty mentality. Pure unconditional love. False ego. I am this body. True ego. I am spirit soul. I am the center of the universe. Krishna is the center of everyone's affection. Body, temporary. Body, eternal. Impure senses due to material context. Senses are pure by devotional service. Impure mind storing material desires. Pure mind with desire to serve Krishna. Intelligence gets distracted by illusory energy. Intelligence fixed in the service of the Lord. Forgetfulness of Krishna. Using everything in Krishna's service. 5 enemies. Lust, pride, anger, greed, envy. A devotee is decorated with selfless love, humility, forgiveness, etc. Material body with deficiencies, spiritual body beautiful and absolute. And the last one, suffering comes from our own body, mind, and other. Suffering comes from our own body, mind, and other beings and nature. No suffering, ever increasing happiness. Hare Bol. So these are the differences that we can contemplate on. And as we have concluded, at least I've concluded, that there's a world of difference between the material world and the spiritual world. And if we want to be really happy, our objective is to try to put at least one foot in the spiritual world while we have one foot in the material world. That means that we should engage in spiritual practices on a day-to-day basis. We are advised to chant the Hare Krishna mantra on our beats. We repeat the Hare Krishna mantra. Everyone can do that. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare. We try to, you can start with a couple of rounds, you may work up to 4 or 5 rounds a day, and then ultimately if you can, chant 16 rounds every day. And Srila Prabhupada, he said at one point that if you can chant 16 rounds by 10 o'clock in the morning, you'll have no anxiety throughout the day. So besides our chanting of 16 rounds, we also engage in other devotional activities meant to engage the mind, body, and senses in devotional practices in order to transcend the free modes of material nature and the illusions of this world. This will keep us nicely situated. We also advise you to read daily the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is considered the cream of the Vedic literature. Krishna doesn't waste any time. In the second chapter, he goes right into the most important subject matter which is missing in material life, and which is the very thing that makes everything that they do a failure. And that is, Krishna explains that within the body there is a spirit soul, and that is our real self. That all this drive to try to enjoy the body and the senses, the mundane ras, is an absolute waste of time. And although we have so much facility for enjoying in that way, we don't really see that anyone is getting any of the more happier. In fact, on the contrary, people are becoming even more and more unhappy. And it's very sad, because the materialistic society is geared now in such a way that people hardly have any choice. They're hell-bent and going in the wrong direction. We know it because when we go out and try to stop someone, even just to stop someone, to give them a Bhagavad Gita, that's a major endeavor in itself, because they're all over the place. Their mind is all over the place, miles away. So we have seen from practical experience how our life has changed for the better. I am a living example of life's complications that suddenly went right because I became a devotee of Krishna. What do you think? Do I look okay? Huh? 45 years of practice, what do you think? Huh? I look amazing. Maybe it's the garland. What do I look like? Yeah, Haridas Thakur also, he says that you should wear the garland of, what is it, the garland of the holy name? Or love of, or was it Lord Chaitanya? That's right. Yet all the great qualities of a Vaishnava, we should wear that around our neck. And this is again what Krishna Consciousness is giving us. You know, it's a major effort. In fact, Srila Prabhupada said, don't be surprised who leaves Krishna Consciousness, be surprised who stays. Because it is a major accomplishment to actually make that major turning point in life from materialistic, mundane ras to spiritual ras, bhakti ras. And, at least the first 12 years, he said, is a very vulnerable time for any devotee. because you're still questioning whether you really want to be a devotee or not. And especially the mind, it's asking this question every day, what are you doing here? You've been here now 2 weeks, you've been here now 2 months, you've been here now 2 years. Do you really want to be a devotee? It doesn't just ask once. It's a constant question that you're asked. Do you really want to get up early in the morning and chant 16 rounds? Do you really want to follow the 4 regulative principles? Do you really want to serve this blue boy who's called Krishna? And there will come a point where the mind will not ask that anymore because you already made a firm decision. But in the meantime, you can be quite intimidated by not just the mind but the world around you. There's so many temptations being offered. So it's a major feat, major task to become a sincere devotee. And therefore we shouldn't be surprised who leaves, but be surprised who stays, because that person who stays and continues that royal road back home, back to Godhead, he is very special, or she is very special. She is sincere, he is sincere. And he and she will be guided. Such devotees will be guided and protected by Krishna, just on the basis of being sincere. Here's a nice little thing that I wrote some time ago. It's called An Interview with God. I dreamt I had an interview with God. So you would like to interview me, God asked. Well, if you have the time, I said. God smiled. My time is eternal. What question do you have in mind for me? Well, what surprises you most about mankind? God answered, that they get bored with childhood, rush to grow up, and then long to be a child again. That they lose their health to make money, and then lose their money to restore their health. That by thinking anxiously about the future, they forget the present, such that they live in neither the present nor the future. That they have abandoned their commitment to raising children and exchange it for walking and talking to their cats and dogs. That they live as if they will never die, and die as though they had never lived. And then I asked, as a parent, what are some of the life's lessons you want your children to learn? Do not expect respect, but give respect to others. Seek not to be understood, but seek to understand. Do not demand to be loved, but aspire to extend your love to others. To lose money, prestige, health, or even life itself is not such a loss. To lose faith is the greatest loss. Well, is there anything else you would like your children to know? For my devotee, death is not the end, but just the beginning of entrance into a realm of eternity. But for the atheist and the materialist, death is simply an end of everything that they identify with, thinking it is everlasting. So two things are very important. A very mature and honest understanding of the dangers and sufferings of this material existence, and faith that my holy names have descended to give the eternal soul supreme shelter. Thank you for your time, I said humbly. God smiled and said, just reassure your listeners today I am always available if they want me. However, I will never interfere with their independence I have given them. I am waiting anxiously for them to return back home whenever they choose to do so. Did you like that? So this gives a clear, from where God is standing, I mean, this is very, very interesting. Because from where we're standing, we have a whole different perspective of life. Under that illusory energy, we're thinking in a completely different way. But from where God is standing, He's looking down on us, and He's watching our activities, but consider them very strange, to say the least. And in fact, when we return to the spiritual world and remember all the hardships we went through in the material world, we'll also be very surprised why we were down there for so long. Because the beauty and the tranquility and the freedom of anxiety in the spiritual world is so profound that we think the little pleasure in this material world to make the comparison. Krishna says that the opulence of this world is just a spark of my splendor. So when we see the splendor of the spiritual world, we question why we even came here. What a horrible place. One time Srila Prabhupada was having a massage. One of my godbrothers, Gargamuni, was massaging him one evening. No one else was around during that time. Prabhupada would tend to reveal certain things which he would not reveal to a group of devotees, but to one humble servant he would maybe start talking very intimately. And one night he spoke to Gargamuni as he was massaging him. He said, yes, I was in the spiritual world. And one day Krishna came to see me. And he said, I want you to go to the material world and do some preaching. Prabhupada said, I replied to Krishna, oh no, not that horrible place. Not that horrible place, the material world. I don't really want to go there. And then he said, but Krishna reassured me. He said, it's okay, I will arrange everything for you, but please go, and I need this service. I need you to do this service. And then Prabhupada agreed to come. And he did come. And he did what Krishna asked him to do. And this is why we're sitting here today. This is another song. It's called Reaching Out for You. Everywhere I look, I only see despair. There's a wave of disenchantment hanging in the air. Everyone seems haunted by the ghost of eternal time. Strange creatures, aliens and goblins running around my mind. I'm reaching out for you, Lord. Won't you help me on my way? I don't want to have to lie down in the bed I've made. You know I need your mercy. I hope it's not too late. I know that only you can turn the hand of fate. Still, somehow or other, I think that I'll enjoy. Find myself in the hands of a woman dancing like a little toy. Now I am stuck at the bottom of a deep, dark well. When I make it out of here, I doubt if anyone could tell. Yes, I would agree it's time for a change. Anyone can see it's not the same anymore with Kali Yuga knocking on our door. We're being pumped full of chemicals, overtaxed and underpaid. Still, the president has got the nerve to tell us we're being pumped full of chemicals, overtaxed and underpaid. Still, the president has got the nerve to tell us, don't be afraid. Makes me wonder to leave the city, go to the woods in despair. I'm just wondering how long it'll be till I get out of here. I'm reaching out for you, Lord. Won't you help me on my way? Don't want to have to lie down in the bed I've made. You know I need your mercy. You know it all too well. I know that only you can save me from this hell. Hare Krishna. Does anyone have any questions you'd like to ask?
It's not really related, but I was just curious why there's certain songs that we don't sing at the temple whenever we go on to the Hare Mountain.
We're following in Lord Chaitanya's footsteps. We don't do anything independently. We're also being guided by Srila Prabhupada, who's given us directions on what to do and how to do in different services of bhakti. So in Harinam, we follow Lord Chaitanya's protocol, where he was chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. He also chanted Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Madhavaya. Was it Hari Haraya? Yeah. Gopal Govindaram Shrimadusana. We also chant the Panchatattva mantra because by the mercy of the Panchatattva, we can excel in our devotional practices. Many years ago, I had a phone call from one lady. She said that, this was in England, she said, I've been chanting for 2 years, but I don't seem to get any joy from it. She said, I got the mantra on the internet, and I've been chanting for 2 years, but I don't seem to be getting any pleasure at all. So I was speaking to her and asked her if she was chanting the Panchatattva mantra. And she said, no, I've never heard of that mantra. So I taught her the mantra. After 2 weeks, she phoned me back. She said, you know, since chanting the Panchatattva mantra, I've been in ecstasy. It was almost the culmination of those 2 years chanting has caught up to me. So this is the importance of chanting the Panchatattva mantra. It's Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, they're very merciful to the devotees who sincerely chant. And even if they chant with some offenses, those offenses can be nullified by their mercy. So our Harinams are very simple. Our main mantra is the Hare Krishna mantra. We want everyone to hear the Hare Krishna mantra because it's the mantra of all mantras, the Maha mantra, the mantra that's going to deliver everyone's mind from the ocean of material existence and situate them transcendentally. Even if they don't chant themselves, just by hearing, they will benefit. The trees will benefit, the insects, the birds, the beasts, and the humans. They will all benefit. The buildings will benefit. Even the buildings become spiritualized by hearing the holy name. This building has certainly become spiritualized by the presence of the deities, the holy name, and it's saturated with bhakti. And we can see the difference. You go into any other building in this city, the same street, same kind of building, but there's a different atmosphere. This is the power of bhakti ras. Is that okay?
Is it possible to form an ideal for utopian society in the world?
As I was saying in the beginning, you were not here, but real society, friendship, and love can only be had in the spiritual world. Whatever we do in this world, there will be some degree of imperfection. Of course, as we become more and more Krishna conscious, the less imperfection is there. So we're trying very hard to create a spiritual society, a spiritual revolution, so that we can make a difference to the world. We have come a long way. We used to make plenty of mistakes, but we have learned a lot over these years. We've learned from our mistakes. We have many more mistakes to learn from. Maybe one day, it is predicted, it has been predicted that the Krishna Consciousness chanting of the holy name will go to every town and village of the world. It will go to everyone's enter everyone's home. And in that environment, surely there's a possibility for a utopian society, as you say, when everyone is dovetailing all their activities in service of God. Previously, people used to serve God with more devotion than today. Today, there's hardly anyone visiting churches or temples, because there's a decline in devotional practices to God. When material life is overshadowed by spiritual practices, then the world will naturally change for the better. You want to help? Would you like to help? There was one poet writer. He would write about worldly events each day. He would go to his studio. But before going to his studio, he would walk along the seafront. And one day he saw one man in the distance dancing the day away. So he was intrigued. Who is this person dancing the day away? So he decided to come closer. And as he came closer, he realized the person wasn't actually dancing, but he was picking something up and throwing out to the waves. So he shouted out, what are you doing? And the man turned around, he said, does it look like I'm doing? I'm picking up starfish and throwing out into the ocean. Then the poet writer said, well, maybe I should ask, why are you doing it? So the reply was that the sun is rising, the tide is going out, and if I don't put these fish back into the ocean beyond the waves, they will all die. And the poet writer said, my dear sir, this beach goes for miles. There are hundreds and thousands of starfish laying on the sand. How can you possibly make a difference? So the man, he picked up one starfish and he threw it beyond the waves, and he said, it made a difference for that one. And it really surprised the writer. Usually he had a lot to say, but suddenly he was stopped in his tracks. All day long he tried to write something, but he was constantly reminded of the person on the beach that he had met. By the end of the day, he made a conclusion. That person was different than others. Most people like to be spectators in this world. Wait for someone to entertain them. You've got the entertainers on the stage and the spectators on the seats ready to be entertained. It's the entertainers that make the difference. So we're asking people that we have a mission here. We don't claim to individually be able to change the world, but collectively, if we can all play our little part, then some change will be made. Let's not be spectators. Let's not wait to see what the non-devotees are going to do to this world. It is already concluded that they have made a mess already, and it's not going to get better. Why should we wait for their conclusion? Let's move forward. We know we have the philosophy, we have the instructions, we have the comparison between reality and illusion. We have everything at our disposal to make a change to this world. But every one of us must play our part to make that change. So now it's the Christian Christmas. I think their motto is goodwill to all man. So we have a lot of Bhagavad Gitas in stock. We would like you to take one Bhagavad Gita. If you want to make a difference to the world, take one Bhagavad Gita with you and give to one of your friends, relatives, and that will certainly make a difference. Myself and Niranjan Swami, we will sign the book, and that may even make it even bigger difference. I don't know. Do you have any books? Yeah, bring them in. How much are they? Okay, so there's this special promotion on Christmas Eve that you can get. Can you just wait for that a minute? Just 1 minute? Just 1 minute? I'm nearly finished. We're making a special presentation of the Bhagavad Gita for $5. You can get. That is a very, very good bargain. And we will sign the book for you. And who else can hold up a book and say the contents of this book is 160 million years old? Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to the sun god 160 million years ago. He spoke this Bhagavad Gita. So that's how old it is, and it's as relevant today as it was 160 million years ago. So it's a very, very special gift that you can give to someone. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki, chanting 16 rounds every day ki, and reading Bhagavad Gita every day ki. Tagore Premanand.